This is the Under the Ring Report. And now, the only two wrestling fans in the world who absolutely understood everything that came out of the Ultimate Warrior's mouth, John the Flesh Wound, and Cousin Tom.
And we are back here at the Under the Ring Report after... That has to be the most wrestling I've watched in a weekend in a long time, Tom. How about you?
Man, I am wore out, but I'm also feeling delightful.
That's right, because our good friend Bray Wyatt is okay now, right? But before we talk about WrestleMania, which everybody talks about, I thought maybe it'd be kind of cool just to touch on some of the other stuff that happened. Because I'll tell you what, I don't know about you, but I watched the Hall of Fame on Friday. I thought everybody did a really nice job. I actually enjoyed Jeff Jarrett's Hall of Fame speech, probably the best of all of them. And kind of interesting to listen to Goldberg, who seems like he's finally come to peace with being a WWE star after all these years.
Yeah, he wasn't really all that shocking when he admitted that he didn't really enjoy the first run.
Yeah.
You know, the Hall of Fame, I watched part. I'll be honest with you. I know it's the unedited one, and I thought, you know what? I watched a little bit, and like, I'm going to wait till they throw this on USA and it's abridged.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, I ended up watching parts of it, but I also ended up on Twitch because Impact Wrestling had their special versus Lucha Underground. So
yes,
I kind of got in there and watched a little bit of that.
I caught a little bit of that also.
And the two matches that kind of stood out, Austin Aries, Rey Fenix, and Pentagon Jr., phenomenal. Thank you, Alberto Patron, for freaking not showing up because that match was awesome without your dumbass.
What do you expect?
I know. And it was good to see Scott Steiner, man. He looked pretty good. Those are kind of the matches that stood out to me. I know other people, there's some other ones on there were a little crazy, but it was kind of cool. I mean, just to see two promotions that aren't the top of the mountain get a chance to get together and put on a pretty good show.
Yeah, and I didn't get to see a lot. I watched some of it. Saturday rolled around, and I really wanted to see the NXT Takeover.
Yes.
And that did not disappoint.
I'll tell you what.
At all.
The first match for the North American... Match? Oh, my gosh. And
that was awesome.
Well, and I read something the other day on the dirt sheets. You know why it was awesome? Shawn Michaels helped produce that. So there you go.
I read that too. I did see that too.
Yeah.
And tell you what, that match, the guys in that all, you know, they all paid a price, but that whole thing from the ladder match all the way up to the final match with Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa.
Yep.
That build for that was amazing.
Well, I think that has to be probably one of the best builds for a match in a long time. Because everybody was talking about wanting to see that. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Because some of the NXT stuff, you get the diehards that talk about it. But I'm talking to people who don't watch NXT and they're like, I got to watch Saturday. I want to. And so everybody had heard about the buildup and how this thing had been going and the way they use social media. I mean, there was this one video with Ciampa and he's supposedly up at 3 a.m. and he's going, you're sitting there and he said, I'm at home right now. And you hear the door and it's supposedly Johnny beating on the door trying to get in and beat him up. And he goes, he's been doing this for 4 hours and I can't sleep. So, I mean, those things that they did too put this whole thing in a whole, it harkened back to the slow build of the 80s.
Yes, yeah. And even his Twitter account has been just a gold mine of heel proportion. And it's been fun to follow, I'll say that much.
Yep, but I love that. And like we said, I mean, Ricochet in NXT, wow. We're going to have some fun matches with him because he did some spots that I just shook my head. I couldn't believe. Other than that, the whole thing pretty much set you up to go, okay, beat that WrestleMania. You know what I mean? It's gotten to the it is. It's gotten to the point now when NXT Takeover comes on, most of the time, that's going to be the highlight of the weekend. And I mean, we didn't even get to the NXT Championship match, which was another great match. And seeing Aleister Black finally win the title was phenomenal for him.
I agree with you. I'm to the point now where when there's a takeover, I make it a point to watch. If I'm home late, I rewind it and I watch it from start to finish. And I am not disappointed. I'm not discouraged that I'm missing it late. I try to just avoid Twitter and catch up because I think I texted you because I was home late.
Yep.
And so I actually watched the Gargano match first and then rewound to the beginning and caught the ladder match and watched it in reverse order. So, but I was in here in the living room yelling my head off, and it was amazing.
Well, and the funny thing too is I watched that first match of NXT. And then Ring of Honor Supercard was on. So I had both going at the same time. And so when I saw, and I was kind of like, I'd mute the voice on the match that I wasn't as interested in. And then I'd mute up. And so I was doing this switch back and forth between matches. And Ring of Honor had some phenomenal stuff going on too. I mean, there was a match with Ibushi versus Adam Hangman Page. Holy shit. If you have not watched it, go look at the match. There's a couple spots in there. I thought Hangman Page broke his damn neck.
And Page looks like a strong safety out there doing shooting star presses off the apron. It's nuts.
And Ibushi, I mean, I've watched him wrestle, but he seemed invigorated. He was doing some moves that I haven't seen him do in ages. So that was a great match. I also love the 6-man championship ladder match with Christopher Daniels, Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky versus the Young Bucks and Flip Gordon. You got to watch that too. There's some different spots in there. It's not as good as the NXT ladder match. I will put that right there. But there are spots that hold up pretty darn close. But yeah, if you get a chance, look it up, watch it. And then the main reason I gave a shit to even tune in was I wanted to see Cody and Omega. And they didn't disappoint. They put on a phenomenal match. Cody, hands down, is the best damn heel right now. I don't think there's anyone more on point with their heel game than Cody is. There was a couple spots there where Cody had Omega in the corner, okay? Had his legs up, and he goes back and he does the Gold Dust Page, so he's going to do the Shattered Dreams. And the crowd is eating it up. He gets halfway, he stops, flips everybody off. They were so pissed. But I won't tell you the ending. Maybe you've read about it, but just watch that match. The story is far from over. I don't know where they're going, but this rivalry has a lot left in it. If this is going to happen at All In, I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's going to be a build. They're just gonna keep building all the way up until that big payoff on, what is that, September 1st?
September 1st is when that hits.
Yeah, that's gonna be amazing. And then we just tweeted the other day, we saw Okada is gonna be there on top of everything.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why I'm so excited about that. I mean, I don't have the opportunity to go out to the West Coast and catch New Japan. So a chance to see Okada in the Midwest wrestle, and the same with Kenny Omega. If you're a wrestling fan and you have a chance to get there, by all means, try your darndest to get a ticket when they go on sale and get down to Chicago and watch this, because I don't think you're going to get that opportunity until New Japan becomes super serious about touring in North America. And right now they're still testing the water. So a chance to see Okada, I'm all in.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I know I sent you a message the other day. I'm like, tell me what I owe you for a ticket.
Yep.
I'm in.
Well, and that's it. You know what? It's going to be a fun time for everybody. And as wrestling fans, I still say it. We right now are enjoying probably the greatest moment of professional wrestling besides the Monday Night Wars, because there's so many other options. It's not just WWE and some other company. All these little companies are putting on matches that you go, holy cow. So that's why I think it's so awesome.
It's not just that there's options. It's that now it's more readily available so you can enjoy it.
Yep, very true. So now that we've kind of talked a little bit about the rest of the weekend, holy cow. And by the way, I have to give a big props to Impact Wrestling, because I kind of kept tuning in a little bit because they did live broadcasting all weekend with Josh Matthews on Twitch. And there were some interesting things going on, and kind of gave you the vibe of what it was like to be out there during WrestleMania weekend. So I have to give them props. Whoever came up with that idea to kind of broadcast live at whatever they were doing, it's kind of cool. So good on them. They probably gave them a little extra exposure. And it was a pretty nice idea. So
I'll tell you what, Sunday we had WrestleMania.
Yep.
7 hours of wrestling. Which, I'll be honest, I, for some reason, was thinking that everything started at 5.
Whoops.
So at 4:30, at 4:30, I flip over with my son. It's like, well, crap, we already missed one match.
Oh.
But we weren't heartbroken. It was okay.
Yeah.
Pre-show. So, but we caught the men's battle royal and the women's battle royal, and got to see the return of Bray Wyatt.
I liked how they did that, actually. It kind of made that the battle royal in the last few years has been kind of whatever, but I thought that was a good way to further a storyline by having Bray come back, kind of what we had talked about a few weeks ago.
Yeah, Yeah, and I liked it that they didn't use it as a spot for celebrities to pop in and out.
No,
Get your workers in there that have worked all year, get them a chance to be in front of the WrestleMania audience. At least it's a little bit of a payoff for them, even if they don't have a big storyline.
But I'll tell you what, tell Dolph Ziggler to quit dangling his damn feet. He kept doing the same Shawn Michaels spot at least 12 times during that match. I mean, we get it, Dolph. You're athletic. You're cool. You can do these moves. But stop. You're not Shawn Michaels. And that was the only thing about that match that annoyed the hell out of me. Everything else I thought was perfect.
I didn't care that it was 7 hours. I mean, yeah, it was 7 hours. But it's still WrestleMania. I mean, if you can't get up for WrestleMania one time, then what are you watching for?
No, I agree with you. The Women's Battle Royal, it seemed kind of convoluted and weird. Especially with the way it ended. And did you watch? I can't remember. Did you watch the women's or not?
I did. The first thing that struck me, and this is my first impression. So Becky Lynch gets her intro.
Yeah.
And then we just parade everybody out there, except for the last, one or two?
Bailey and the boss got theirs.
So, yeah. Okay, so 3 got entrances, and everybody else was just going, And so I'm looking, I'm like, wait a minute. Now, who is that and who is that? It's like, oh, okay. They're from NXT. But it took me a second because everybody piled in. So once I got my bearings, like you said, it was convoluted, definitely, because I was like, okay, now I know who I'm watching and trying to figure things out. But yeah, it was, in the same way, it served its purpose. Got them all in there, gave them a chance to be in. But I think they needed to tweak it a little bit before they do it again next year.
But anyway, I wasn't crazy about how the match finished at all. I thought for sure they were going to give what everybody wanted. It was Bailey and Sasha. And I'm like, what a great way for Bailey to get her revenge. And oh, no, she doesn't get to win. And that was weird.
It was weird. And then, I thought the same thing. Like, man, that was strange because I was all for Bailey and Sasha.
Yeah.
And then I thought, the first thing that popped in my head was, this is going to be one of those nights where they're just going to stick it to every person on the dirt sheets who's been predicting things. That's the first thing that popped in my head, was they're going to swerve everybody on everything.
It seemed like that. The Intercontinental title match, I thought, was probably one of the top 3 matches of the night. Yeah. And you had called it 2 weeks ago. You said for sure Seth Rollins was going to win. And there's really not much I don't think we can really say about that. I mean, it pretty much went according to plan.
Yeah, and it was a great way to kick off WrestleMania. Those 3 guys definitely have chemistry, all 3 of them. I was not disappointed with that match at all.
No, I'm with you on that. It was a fun match. It was interesting, and it was worth everybody's time. So the next match after that, which probably is another one of my top 3 matches, was Asuka and Charlotte going at it. What'd you think of that?
Tell you what, other than the Rousey Angle match, I'd almost give that the top billing of the night.
Yeah, they put on a great match.
As far as in-ring, you couldn't really guess which way it was going to finish. Sometimes you watch a match and there's kind of like a tell. Mm-hmm. They're setting something up. I didn't see any of that in that match. And they pulled off some spots that I thought were pretty awesome. Her and Asuka on the top rope, and they flip together. But the one she does the moonsault, and Asuka transitions that into like an armbar. That was amazing because you don't normally see that.
Well,
and I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
Well, and I mean, there was parts of it where they really tried to make it look like Charlotte was being beaten down. Every time Charlotte tried something, Asuka countered it. And that's where I kind of thought they were going to ride that streak just because how they've been pushing it so much. But truthfully, I'm glad they ended the streak because I feel sometimes Asuka is not done justice because people are more worried about the streak than the talent of the wrestler. And I think it has started to get to that point, kind of like back in the day with Goldberg. You forgot to enjoy what you were watching because you were more concerned about the streak.
Yeah, I agree. What'd you think of Flair's entrance?
I liked it a lot, man. It was very reminiscent of her time with. Remember when she was part of Triple H and his entrance? I
thought the same thing.
Yeah,
I thought, that's a good way to spin it.
Yeah, and I think that's why they did that. She had said that she was kind of doing it off that entrance that she had been part of back in the day. So the next match, I'm going to admit, I didn't give 2 rips about. I actually went and got me something to eat and kind of sort of paid attention. But the U.S. title match, there's nobody there I give 2 craps about.
Yeah, we had Rude, Jinder, Rusev, And who am I missing there? Randy Orton.
Yep.
Yeah.
So many people miss that.
Me and 70,000 people were pulling for Rusev on that match.
Mm-hmm.
And they just will not give that guy an honest, he hasn't had an honest run since John Cena buried him a year ago at SummerSlam or whenever that was.
Yeah, I don't quite understand what Rusev needs to do. Because, right now the guy's selling more merch than most people. Push him.
Yeah.
Push the guy. Give him a shot. So I'm with you. I don't understand because that would have been a perfect. But you know what? Here's the deal. Looking ahead to the great battle royal that's coming up, it makes sense.
Well, I saw that today.
But here's the deal. You give Jinder a title when he goes over there, so people will cheer Jinder on. That's the whole reason.
I know it. And that's as soon as Jinder won, and they kept pushing the Saudi Arabia thing.
Yep.
It's like, okay, well that explains that.
Uh-huh.
And then of course last night you had Orton winning to be the number one contender.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go again. Jinder and Orton. We haven't seen that.
Well, and now today they announced that Rusev's going to wrestle The Undertaker.
His Twitter today said, "Bury me softly."
I know. So that match, like I said, I wasn't into it, didn't care, and it didn't sound like much of the crowd was into it after they kind of realized that Rusev wasn't going to win. The next match, though, is the one we hinted a little bit ago, but was the debut of Ronda Rousey. Holy cow is all I have to say. I was really impressed.
Yeah, I don't want to say I was shocked. No, I was shocked.
I was shocked.
I'm gonna be the first minute. I was shocked because all of her promos and things, I wasn't sold. She's either smiling or got that mean mug look. There's no in between.
Mm-hmm.
And all I kept thinking was, oh, I hope she doesn't get out there and just botches stuff, or And then she comes out and does like two moves, and I'm thinking, holy crap, she came to fight. And after the first two moves where she got her hands on Stephanie, I was sold. I was believing everything that was going on. I was enjoying the match. I quit worrying about something going to get messed up. I just enjoyed the match, and I liked the way they did it.
Well, and you know what? The thing is, I'm with you. Because all the talk when she was on the microphone, how bad she is, kind of a thing to me that if you're WWE, maybe she should have had a mouthpiece. Someone helping her, because athletically, she's got it. Once she figures out how to do the showmanship of the mic and stuff, wow. The rumors are that they're building towards Charlotte and Rousey next year at WrestleMania. If she develops her mic skills even close to where she is right now, it's going to be a hell of a match.
Yeah. She comes from a background where it's not sound bites. You think about wrestling, it's sound bites and promos to just put over yourself, your competition, or the next pay-per-view.
Yep.
She came from a world where you basically don't say anything until right before a match, and you just threaten to kick someone's tail or knock their teeth down their throat. There wasn't a whole lot of story going on.
No, I agree.
But the match was awesome. I actually thought she was going to tap Triple H. I thought, are they going to do this and have Triple H tap her armbar? But they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I even thought Angle looked good.
You can tell Angle is one of those big-time performers. When it's time to turn it on, he can really bring it. And you know what? He helped carry that match, him and Triple H. And I even have to give props to Stephanie. Stephanie did what she needed to. She took some bumps. And you know what? She looked really good herself. So I think everybody working together, they made Ronda look phenomenal in that match. That's probably one of the best debut matches of anyone in the WWE for a long time.
Yeah, I would say that was one of the top two matches of the night.
Yeah, I would agree. Then we went to another tag match, and I don't know about you, but and I just kind of was left going, wow, you've got the New Day and the Usos who can go, but instead you're just going to let the Bludgeon Brothers squash them and give the tag match. The funniest thing was the short stacks.
Yeah, when they came out with the short stacks, I'll admit, I was cracking up.
Yep.
Oh, that's fantastic. But yeah, it was basically a squash match, and I'm okay with Harper and Rowan getting a run. Those guys, you really haven't seen them since The Rock buried him at WrestleMania 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm okay there, but yeah, I'm with you. As much as the Usos and New Day have done for this whole year up to WrestleMania, I would have liked to have seen a little more.
Well, it's kind of the same as the last time they wrestled. when they were just going through and having this, I think it was the last pay-per-view when the Bludgeon Brothers came out and destroyed all of them. And it's that thing where you've got a couple tag teams that need a chance to put on a show. They did not let them put on a show. It was just, hey, we're giving the tag titles to these guys. Thanks for your help. Bye-bye. The next match, I have to say, I had my doubts, but I have to give props to John Cena. You know, everybody shits on John Cena. You know, Cena sucks and all this stuff. But you know what? Here's the thing. John Cena played this out perfectly. He carried this all by himself for the last month and a half. You know, talking about The Undertaker. Even during the WrestleMania, sitting in the crowd drinking a beer. But I had no idea that he was going to let Taker squash him. And people were like, oh my God, what happened? You do realize what John Cena did was give The Undertaker back the mystique. If you think about it, last year, a hurt Undertaker versus Roman Reigns, he looked terrible. No one wanted to see him again. And after this,
awful.
Yeah, and after this, I wouldn't mind seeing Taker again. He looked a lot better. But you know what? You could theoretically keep The Undertaker for another 5-6 years if you just let him come out at WrestleMania and squash somebody. People would be happy.
I remember last year sitting there watching him against Roman and thinking, oh no, he's went one WrestleMania too many, and this is how he's going to be. This is how he's going to be remembered.
Yeah.
Where you always have those sports stars that you follow that do great things, and they never know when to leave, and then there's always that last year where they're just not even close to what they used to be, and then you feel sorry for them.
Yep.
And that's how last year I felt with The Undertaker. And this year, with it being built up, I know I said, like, I don't really care. And I kind of hit. But then when the bell finally hit, you hear the bong, then the goosebump pop up. And I'm expecting Biker Taker to come out because Kid Rock was, I'm trying to put everything together and figure out the puzzle. And then when he comes up through the stage or the lift or whatever, and he's in the dead man costume, I'll admit it, that got me. And then I was, and I didn't even care. My son was like, that was it?
Really?
but yeah.
It was perfect. It was perfect because that's the whole thing. I mean, The Undertaker, unfortunately, Vince hurt that reputation 2 times by letting Lesnar beat him and by letting Roman beat him. The big thing of it is that The Undertaker is an attraction of WrestleMania. All you give a crap about is to see the cool entrance, and hopefully The Undertaker does his 2 or 3 signature moves, and then we move on. And that was perfect because it wasn't some upstart, trying to get a shot and getting buried, like The Rock burying, as you just said, the Wyatts at that time. It was a guy that's his peer that said, hey, you know what? I'm going to do you a solid and help put you back where you should be. And that was perfect.
And after that match, we still had, 3 more main events to go?
Well, you had the return of Daniel Bryan, Shane McMahon, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. What'd you think of that one?
I was happy to see Daniel Bryan back in the ring. And I know I've been talking about him all year, trying to predict what's going to happen. Glad to see him back. I enjoyed the match. Then I immediately thought, I was happy to see him get the victory. Then I'm like, well, now what are they going to do with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens? Because, we all know they're obviously not getting fired.
Yeah.
So I immediately started trying to figure out what the plan was there. But really, Shane had his little diverticulitis storyline. I don't think you can develop diverticulitis by getting beat up backstage. I don't think that's how that works.
Yeah, I think you're right.
This is professional wrestling, so we'll give it a shot. But I liked the match. It wasn't one of my top ones, but I still liked it. It was just good to see Daniel Bryan back.
Yep. I didn't like the beginning of the match.
Where they laid him out?
Yeah, because here's the bad part about that is you've had a guy who's been out of action for 2.5 years for a concussion. So there's a lot of people that are going, oh, did he get hurt? Is he okay? You know what I mean? And the match
that was the whole point of doing that was just
No, I know, but what I'm saying is they hurt the flow of the match. I think because the crowd was already coming. They were doing one of the slow grinds down because they had been brought up by so many good matches already. And, we're getting towards that 10 o'clock hour already. So, we've been through 5.5 hours of wrestling. So and I think that's where the crowd started to get lost. I really do. Because you notice there was a point where the crowd just didn't give a crap anymore.
Yeah, I'm with him. I was the same way at home. It's like I wanted to be up for it, but man,
it's
I
tough.
watched a lot of wrestling this weekend.
Yeah, I know. But so like I said, that was a good match. It was nice to see Daniel Bryan. They let him do all of his spots. Good for him. The next match, Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss, I was indifferent. I really didn't care.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd like to see what happens with her with the title. I mean, I would have liked to seen that be a squash where she just comes out and ragdolled her. They didn't do that, but I was thinking, okay, we still got 2 more matches to go. Let's get this going.
Yeah, and hey, good for Nia to finally get the title, but I didn't care. But the next match was our dream match, Nakamura and AJ Styles. I think going into this match, everybody had really high expectations just because what they've done in New Japan.
Yeah, I think we all had unrealistic.
Yeah, and you know what? The funny thing is, after the match was done, I'm like, it's a good match, but I think at the very end, when Nakamura turned heel, then I went, we're only getting a taste because these guys are going to be feuding for a while. And I think that's what it was. I think everybody was under the assumption this was a one-off, and that's not the case. So we may get an awesome match down the line at Survivor Series or SummerSlam or something. I don't know, but we haven't seen the last of these two fighting each other. And I think heel Nakamura is the best thing that could happen to him in the WWE.
Well, heel Nakamura tells me that McMahon buys into him more as a heel, but he also is willing to do more with him. Which, when he won the Rumble, with that meant, okay, so he's ready to go with him.
Yep.
But no one thought he was ready to give him the belt yet. But now that he's the heel, I think, look out.
Well,
As soon as that happened, when he gave him the drop and gave him the low blow, I'm like, oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know if you saw SmackDown, but I mean, he cut a great promo. Renee Young's asking him why he did this to AJ and all this stuff. And first he's talking to how nice, and he respects him. And then so she starts hitting him up with why he turned on him. He looks at her and goes, I know speak English.
Yeah, that was
And
great.
I'm like, oh my God, he totally wants to be a major heel. And you're just sitting there going, he's going to have some fun with this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to what happens because it got me excited.
Yep.
Because, the entrance is great and everything about him is interesting, but it needs a little shake-up every once in a while.
Yep. Now, the Raw tag titles, I have to say, it was funny, but I have to give WWE credit for knowing their audience. I mean, I don't have kids. You do. I don't know if they were up when this match happened, but seriously, you let Braun Strowman, who has been promoted as like a superhero, pick a 10-year-old kid out of the audience to be his tag partner. Little kids had to be going crazy when they saw this.
Yeah, well, I'll admit, my son by this point in the night was in bed. He'd been up since 5 for a baseball tournament. So I'm like, dude, you got school. I'm sorry. You can catch the rest on the network when you get up in the morning. So he'd already went to bed. But he found out about it the next day, and he's like, oh, that's kind of cool and weird, which I agree. My only thought on it was, all right, you're going to pick a kid, and now we know who the kid was.
Yeah.
Why couldn't we had him front row so Braun didn't have to take 10 minutes walking around to go find his partner?
I know, but it was probably just like, one of those things.
Yeah, but the only other thing I thought was when he tagged the kid in, that building popped.
Yes, it did.
Kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it popped. They got loud, and Cesaro gives his kid the look like, I'm going to come kill you, which y'all know he wasn't going to. But that was a cool moment. You need a little kid with a little more personality. He looked scared to death. Of course, 70,000 people.
But that's the whole point, though.
Too.
But remember, though, that was part of the point, though, too. They want him to seem like some little kid scared out of his damn mind, And I think the kid did perfectly what he needed to do. And I know why they put the match why they did it. Because if Nakamura Styles was going to be one of those phenomenal matches, the last thing you want to do is put Braun and Roman right after that. So you put this match in there, you get a feel-good story, get the crowd all excited, which it did. But then Reigns and freaking Lesnar just shit all over everybody in that building, if you ask me.
Should we go to that match now?
We might as well, because, I mean, seriously, that match pissed me off. I don't know about you, but I was pissed.
I was mad watching it. I'm like, really? We sat through 7 hours, and this is the crap I get for the finale.
Yeah.
Is apparently they turned on their PS4s and popped in WWE 2K18 and put on infinite finishers and just decided to have a infinite finisher match because it was like, okay, how many F5s are we going to do? How many spears? How many Superman punches? And then he starts dropping elbows, which kind of reminded me of when he did that to Orton.
Yep, exactly.
And it's like, okay, now how much of this are we getting worked on, or is he going off script? I know there's been rumors that he and McMahon got into it backstage afterwards. I don't know any of
I think it was all part of the match. For some reason, here's the sad part. I think even Roman Reigns haters were ready for Lesnar to get rid of the belt. I mean, we've talked about this for a while. I could live with Reigns being the man because, you know what? Even though I'm not a fan of Roman Reigns, there's a lot of kids that love him. And you know what? He has done a lot in the last 3 years to deserve that championship match. You know, give him the title and let him run with it. Let's be done with it. But instead, you swerve everybody. You're supposedly friendly to kids, but hey, hell with that. Let's just bust Roman up and let him bleed like a pig. And I mean, I was sitting there going, seriously? This is your finale?
Oh, and then don't forget him dropping a big old F-bomb in the middle of a pay-per-view.
That too, yeah. So, I mean, it all felt weird. And the other thing that pissed me off was it felt like WrestleMania was second to the Great Rumble coming up in 2 weeks. It felt like all they did was set everything up for this Great Rumble. There was a few things resolved, but I mean, the major storyline wasn't resolved. So I kind of felt cheated in some of the instance.
I see where you're coming from because I kind of thought that too because really you didn't hear much about that Great Rumble until WrestleMania weekend.
Yep. Then they plugged that baby hard. And then they started announcing
a 50-man Royal Rumble, and then that main event though, I don't know how long it was. It didn't feel like it was that long of a match. It just felt like I was just watching everything on repeat. And the thing that gets everybody with Lesnar, and I've said it before, it's just the same garbage.
Yep.
Suplex City, F5, walk out.
Well,
and that's it.
Here's something I'm going to say about that, though. I'm going to blame more on Roman Reigns than I am Lesnar, okay? And you're like, what? Okay. Brock Lesnar, to me, when I've watched a lot of his matches, seems to be the guy that wants to be challenged by the person he wrestles. If he feels the person he's wrestling is bringing a challenge, he will work his ass off. Because you can't tell me that his AJ Styles match wasn't a great match, or the match he had with Samoa Joe, where him and Samoa were exchanging live blows. Those are matches where I feel Lesnar feels like he's being challenged, so he goes out of his way to have a good match. And I felt that Reigns being very limited in what he does, Brock just said, piss on it. I'm just going to throw a bunch of F5s and throw you in the damn suplex machine. And that's all we're going to do. I'm not going to do any more or any less. And that's all we're doing. And that's why I felt it was a boring match.
I'll give him credit for one thing. He ragdolled him. I mean, if you watch the end of that, I don't think Reigns knew where he was at the end, honestly. I don't think it was an act either. Once he realized he was bleeding like a stuffed pig, as JR would say, it was all over.
Overall, though, I mean, if you take a look at that card, it's probably one of the most stacked WrestleMania cards we've had in a long time. I mean, out of 5, I would give it a 3.5 out of 5.
I don't know if I'd go 4. I might go 4. I think shave a little time off for me.
Yeah.
And I'd go a little higher. Most of the matches, though, were entertaining. There wasn't anything that I really hated. You know, there was a couple bathroom breaks in there, but nothing horrible. I thought it was a pretty good WrestleMania overall. I mean, you got pretty much your whole roster out for the world to see. So, and time to build to the next one.
All right, man. Well, we both agree we were actually entertained by WrestleMania. But that's going to do it for our quick kind of takes on WrestleMania weekend and everything we enjoyed and didn't enjoy. So thanks a lot for joining us once again, and we'll be back next week with more here on the Under the Ring Report.
This is Dory Funk Jr., and you're listening to the Under the Ring Report.
Follow the Under the Ring Report on Twitter at UTRR Podcast. You can subscribe to the Under the Ring Report on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, or visit undertheringreport.com. Thanks for listening to the Under the Ring Report.